Hi everyone, this is John with UDoIt. I'm hosting tonight's live stream. Tonight we have a panel talking about cosplay and how 3D printing is helping. So talk a little bit about cosplay and how 3D printing has helped accelerate and making it more efficient for people who are makers creating cosplay elements. Also, how 3D printing is making things more accessible to people who want to make cosplay. So I'd like to introduce the panel. I'm going to start from my left, and we'll go with Darrell. You'll tell us who you are, what you do, anything going on, where we find you at, and then you'll mute your mic, and we'll go on to the next one.
Okay. Hey, my name is Darrell Maloney. I run a YouTube channel called TheBrokenNerd. I do a lot of 3D printing around cosplay and props, mostly props from like Marvel, Star Wars, DC comics. You can find me on YouTube at TheBrokenNerd. You can find me on Instagram at TheBrokenNerd83, and you can find me on Twitter at TheBrokenNerd83.
All right. David?
Hey, David Randolph over at Printed Solid. You can find me over on Twitter at Printed Solid, Facebook at Printed Solid, printedsolid.com. If you have put Printed Solid at the end of the name, that's where it'll go. So that's probably the easiest way to know what I'm doing. Yeah, always printing, always working, always trying to find new ways to do the 3D print stuff, and enjoy every minute of it.
Thanks, David. All right, Richard, you're next.
Hello, I'm Richard Murray, and the channel is the Zidim channel, and I focus on 3D printing for model trains, but I do have a little bit of involvement with cosplay stuff. Yeah, find me on Facebook. The best place is 3D printing for model trains, and I try to go live every Wednesday at 4 o'clock Pacific.
Thank you, Richard. All right, Martin.
Yeah, hi, I'm Martin, and I have a YouTube channel called 3DP Iceland, also on Twitter as 3DP Iceland, and you can find me on those two platforms. What I do on my channel is test filaments and do designs and print out those landscapes that I paint with acrylic paints. So that's one thing I do, and I do occasional strange projects like this ukulele, and and now I'm designing a lot of parts for part cooling on my CR10. I designed a mount for a mosquito hot end on the CR10. So I do a little bit of everything on my channel. So that's me.
Thank you, Martin. All right, Matt.
Hey everybody, I'm Matt from How I Do It. I do a little bit of everything and recently a whole lot of nothing. Besides organizing these streams and keeping things flowing with that. You can find me on Twitter at Country Cowboy, on Facebook as Matthew Flinchball, Instagram Matthew Flinchball, pretty much everywhere. YouTube is youtube.com/howIdoit.
All right, thanks, Matt. One thing I'd like you to do is hit the like button. If you could share, make sure you subscribe. I'm sure everybody in here is subscribed. It looks like it's our core group who's following us. So thank you for hanging out with us on Friday nights. It's always good. I appreciate Darrell and Dave for joining in. This is awesome. You got Dave is an extraordinaire at droid building. In Star Wars lore, he'd be a droid engineer. And then you have Darrell, who just the broken nerd. He's created some amazing props and stuff. So I like to hear from you guys. Let's talk about whatever it is with cosplay. You were at New York Comic-Con, Darrell. So give us your first impression of New York Comic-Con, and then tell us what you think about costumes that you could quickly pick out that, yeah, 3D printing helped make that, And wow, it's awesome.
First impression, that was my first New York Comic-Con. It was just absolutely massive. It was a madhouse in there. I mean, people were like crammed into this space. Even though the Javits Center is huge, I mean, it felt tiny because there were so many people packed into that space. It was fun. It was fun. I got a chance to walk. I mean, we walked around most of the day. Got to meet some cool people. In terms of the cosplay, people have gotten so good now, you can't really tell what's 3D printed and what's not. So it's hard to distinguish. So I couldn't really, and to be honest with you, I wasn't looking for it. But I mean, the costumes were fantastic. Now I met this young lady at Maker's Fair, and I happened to see her at New York Comic Con, and her full costume was mostly 3D printed, and she was playing Jane Foster, but the Thor version. And if you don't know her, you can find her on Twitter and on Instagram. They're called the Laser Girls. Amazing work. The work that she does. And then from the story that she had at Maker's Fair, I believe she said that she made her, like, she has like a small space that she's able to operate out of. Now I have a garage, and I know like how labor intensive that process can be to try to clean up a print. And the finish that she got on it was like absolutely flawless. I didn't see any print lines or anything. And she did all her own 3D modeling. She does 3D modeling in ZBrush. And if first glance, you could never tell, even up close looking at it, you would never tell that it was 3D printed unless she told you. So that was really impressive to see. And I believe she won the Becoming Marvel contest, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, that was kind of like one costume that stood out to me, and I was able to actually like take a good look at in person, and she showed me her hammer and everything, and it was just absolutely amazing work. So yeah, outside of that, I couldn't tell. Like, I was walking around, and I honestly was looking, but I could not tell like who was foam, who was 3D printed, but people are doing some amazing work in terms of cosplay.
So the finishing is to the point now where there's no distinguishing between 3D printing. Like, they do it so well that you don't even see the layer lines now.
Now it's again, I'm seeing it from a distance. It's always a different story when you see it close up, so you can never really tell from a distance. But her zone, I was able to actually examine close up and visit. I visibly couldn't see any print lines, front and back. I mean, she did an amazing job. But outside of that, like in passing, I couldn't tell. So people are getting that good.
Yeah, that's awesome. So we got a newcomer. Clayton, can you hear us?
What's going on? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, buddy.
All right. How are you guys?
All right. Do your little intro, who you are, where you're from, how can we find you, all that good stuff.
I'm Uncle Jesse. I'm opening up a beer right now since it's Friday. And I just got back from a date with my wife. If you're married, in a relationship or anything like that, make sure to keep some time for dates with your significant others. Yeah, so I do the YouTubes. You can find me on youtube.com/Uncle Jesse. Very similar to Darrell there, do 3D printing and cosplay stuff. And just trying to have fun along the way. But yeah, that's about my spiel. Sorry, I'm late. I had a critical Mac failure here on my end. Yeah, I got a nice fat error message, and had to reboot and reset up everything here. How are you guys doing tonight?
Yeah, we're doing great. So we're down in Wildwood now, just chilling at the shore. And the topic for tonight, you know what the topic is, but we'll just say it again. So we're talking about cosplay and 3D printing, and we got Darrell to talk about New York Comic Con this year.
Jealous.
He attended. Yeah,
I'm jealous, very jealous.
And you know, he was telling us that he sees the pieces from a distance. You know, maybe not like totally up close to examine, but it's really tough to tell if cosplay is being made of foam or 3D printing because the finishing is just so good now. by the makers.
It's it is getting very hard to distinguish, and for me, you know, it's because I've gotten asked a bunch of times of, you know, hey, why don't I do foam tutorial cosplay videos? Not my thing, but it's not that I have anything against it. I think both are very valid options, as well as doing some things, you know, before 3D printing, I was doing Papakura style stuff, which just takes forever and a day. But yeah, there's, I mean, just some ridiculously cool stuff. And he was right in the middle of it. New York Comic Con is just absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. How many days were you there, man?
I was there Friday and Saturday. I didn't get to stay till Sunday.
Oh, okay, nice. Those are the two big days.
Yeah, Saturday was mad hot.
It's like, I hope everybody's wearing deodorant because you're butt to butt with everybody.
You know what? That honestly was not an issue, to be honest with you. Like, yeah, and oddly enough, I told my wife that I said there were so many people there, and I did not come across one person that had an odor. Like, it was refreshing.
You know what I was going to ask you was, did you dress up at all? Or did you wear anything?
I did not. It was so last minute. Like, I literally decided to go Thursday afternoon, and Friday morning, 3 o'clock, I was out of here.
Nice. Yeah. Wasn't sure if you were going to bring your Knights of Ren set up again.
Nah, I'll probably wear that for Halloween.
You have to, man.
Yeah.
All right, we have a newcomer. Chris, can you hear us?
Hey, can you hear me, John?
Yeah, you sound good. All right, so Chris, he's the CEO of Planet Earth, and he creates some crazy models and stuff. So tell us who you are, what you do, where we can find you.
So, wow, I'm getting a wicked delay there. Anyway, Chris Pileski here at mchrisp1 on Twitter. That's my social media spot. Worked. This is really weird, John. I'm going to drop and come back.
Chris, if you got YouTube playing, pause it.
I had YouTube playing before, and I was like, wait, there's this echo, and it's like, remember that Jammer app you could get, and it would play back what you're saying, like delayed 20 milliseconds, and make you stutter. Yeah.
All right, let's try this again.
There you go.
All right, yeah, that's all gone. All right, so at mchrisp1 on the social media, one of the founders of Earth. Working, we're in the starting stages of working on Earth 2019. That'll be coming up. More information on that soon. Not a whole lot of experience in cosplay modeling per se. Maybe one piece that a couple of people have seen. My Daft Punk helmet. That's my one cosplay piece, really. But I'm an interested 3D printer, and wanted to be here for the conversation. It seems like a good time.
All right, thanks, Chris.
Nice.
Yeah, so Murph was awesome. Earth was awesome. I mean, we just when you just hang out and break bread with your fellow maker and drink some beers together, it's just.
So can someone explain to me what was from like a week ago, 2 weeks ago, what everything that just went down with Murph?
The quick sum of it, the public side of things that everybody's gotten at this point. CME-CNC Steve thought that John Oley and Sonny weren't going to be scheduling Murph, that they were out of it, and nothing had been said, so they jumped on it to start getting tickets and stuff going. But that John and Sonny didn't know about that. I guess the two parties weren't discussing it.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Now they are. Now they're all on one.
Everything's squared away.
Earth that we all expect it to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like it's going to be good.
That's the quick 10-second version of it.
Yeah, I'm gonna be there, so it's gonna be good.
Nice.
So if you're watching this and you don't know what we're talking about, Murph is the Midwest Rep Rap Festival, and IRF is the East Coast Rep Rap Festival. Murph is held in Goshen, Indiana. IRF is held in Bel Air, Maryland.
Yeah, home of the salty dog.
and both events involve some form of taco consumption, drinking beer, pretzels, hot dogs, and a lot of 3D printing and nerds talking nonstop about 3D printing. So my wife was kind of funny. She's like, "These are not your friends. You're going to these." You are not friends with these people. And then she saw what happened. Like everybody's doing bro hugs and high fives, and we're in pictures together. And we're that's your family.
That's internet. We've bumped into some people out at things, and she'll be like, "Oh, is this one of your internet friends, or is this like a real friend?" I was like, "It's the same thing. It's the same thing."
right.
Yeah, Adam's right. IRF also consisted of Wawa trips. You don't get those from IRF.
Yeah. A very late night Wawa
Very
trip.
late night.
Yeah, so that's.
I have to say though that I've never been to Murph, which I've heard is nuts. IRF was absolutely amazing. But being to New York Maker Faire, I mean, I went last year to New York Maker Faire, and then went again this year, and my expectation going into those is, man, there's going to be so much 3D printing. It's going to be amazing, and there's a very small portion of those is 3D printing, whereas the whole show is dedicated to everything around that tech, which is what I was specifically, zeroed in and on and interested in. So it's I'm going to try and get out to Murph this year. But
it's kind of sad because like 5 years ago, Maker Faire was bigger than Murph was last year as far as 3D printing. And it's just this year you saw everything at Maker Faire in about 30 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, so wait, is there another alley? Is it inside somewhere?
I could have had all the 3D people to my hotel room and we've been fine.
So it was only 4 OEMs there this year. In 3D printing space, Jellybox, Prusa, one of the filament companies out of the Czech Republic, Filament something or other, and then there was one other filament company that I can't think of, but that was really it, right, Dave?
That's all the names that in 3D printing specifically that were there.
Did Printed Solid have a stand this year?
Who?
Did you guys have a stand this year?
No, we didn't have a stand.
Oh, okay.
They wanted to double our price this year for our for a booth.
Wow.
Oh yeah. What? All right. So the politics of that. How do you justify doubling?
Well, they do it on a pretty regular basis. They keep up in the price, but they also charge the price on the booth based on how much your company is worth.
Oh.
So if you have a bigger company, they want you to pay more for a booth.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Is that why Printed Solid stays smaller?
Just for Maker Faire booths?
Yeah.
We'd rather go to Murph and IRF anyways. That's our people. Maker Faire is just a bunch of kids grabbing the stuff off the table and moving on. Yeah. And everybody asking, "Can you 3D print me a gun?" That's Maker Faire in a nutshell.
By the way, this week's sponsor is Maker Faire. Proud to bring you.
I'm pretty sure we don't have to worry about it.
I love the idea. I think it's dying off for us 3D printing people.
Wait, are we 3D printing guns? Real quick.
Look at that. Look at that.
Parts of a gun. Parts of a gun.
Oh, Jesus.
It's I think I've got like 6 more parts over here. I've got my Magigoo that I'm going to be throwing down on that, testing it out. See how
Was that the model you were tweeting about the past couple of days?
No. This is Cable's gun from Deadpool 2. His crazy hodgepodge rifle. So something I found on, I think it was CG Trader.
All right, so you guys that make props and stuff, are you doing multi-material prints? Are you doing single because you're just finishing it? Are you making use of that PVA water soluble supports or anything?
Darrell, man, you talk, man. You jump in there and talk, man. I'm gonna step on toes. So Darrell, talk.
No, I just kind of stick to PLA and PET. I've been using PETG now more often, only because the sand's a lot easier.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it does. It
really?
Does. Yeah. I would like to try some PVA, but the prices are on that is like high. So I don't know. I'll try it one day. But PETG is where I'm at today.
I'll check that out. Instead of PVA. So here's a cool one for you for support material. You don't have to get super expensive PVA. You can get a material like Polyalchemy's Elixir, which is that shimmery, shiny filament. Use that for support. It doesn't like sticking to PETG or PLA, so it breaks off and gives you a lot less sanding to do. And it's a fraction of the cost.
Yeah, it's what, like half the price of PVA?
About a third the price of PVA.
Wow.
But also you can try this with other materials as well. So literally just find the most incompatible filaments you can and use that as your support, and it'll break away far easier for you.
Got it.
That's a trick.
Dave, from the experience you have with different materials, different brands, besides Polyalchemy, what are some materials that you would recommend trying? For those of us who don't fully follow like what's compatible and what's not chemically, like what's going to bond and what's not going to. You have a better understanding of that than we do.
Well, here's the trick. Any filament that has a shiny or matte surface, put something in their filament which doesn't bond very well to other filaments. Chemically, you can get okay results with PETG and just regular PLA, mainly because PLA just sands off easier and just disappears. It melts away and just goes away. So that can be an okay support as well. The other trick is if you do have individual temperature control, is print your support material at a much lower temperature, as low as you can. That will help make it break off better. So in other words, you're really trying to get your support material to print like trash.
Yeah, you're trying to do everything you do opposite for layer adhesion. You're trying to do the opposite of it.
Yep. Basically. Yeah, he mentioned the guy mentioned hips. Yes, you could use hips. Hips is interesting if you're printing with ABS, because you can dissolve hips off with citric cleaner and get that off of the surface material. So that does work fairly well too. It's a little harder these days to find people carrying a lot of hips because it can be a little troublesome to print with. But for us El Cheapos out there, you can go out there and get a shimmery or a matte filament, or the cheapest piece of junk filament you can get off Amazon or Micro Center, and use that as your support material.
That's actually a good point. I never thought about altering temperatures for the support.
Yeah. If you have that control, a lot of configurations don't have that control.
Right.
So, but if you have that control, it's a good way to get around that problem.
What do you use to slice it to have the different temperatures for supports?
Any slicer that'll do dual material will allow you.
Oh, so, yeah. Okay, so the other extruder would be at a different temperature. Gotcha.
Yeah. Now you can do it with a single extruder with some tricks. I'm not going to get into it here because it is complicated to do it and really finicky. But you can use a single nozzle. You can go off to the side, park it, let it change temperature, and bring it back and print what you're doing.
You just have to have a really large purge block.
Well, I was thinking without the purge block. I was thinking just park it temporarily, let it cool down or heat up, and then come back over and print with the same material, single nozzle. But I think you have to trick Marlon into thinking you have 2 nozzles, but that both nozzles are in the exact same spot.
Right.
So, sort of like the Prusa is doing multi-material, same principle, except you don't necessarily need a purge block.
Here's the problem you would have, and follow me on this, and this is why your purge block becomes such a big deal when you use a single nozzle. I'm printing ABS at 270, and I'm printing away, and I decide I want to switch out to PLA. Now I put PLA in, and now I'm at 205. It's not going to push out that remainder of the ABS in the nozzle.
Yeah, I was thinking if you're staying with the same material the whole way through the print is what I was referring to. Going to crappy layer adhesion to good layer adhesion. That's what I was thinking, not mixing materials. But yeah.
Okay. Yes. If you were saying the same material like that, yeah, I could see that tricking Marlon into that.
Maybe I'll play with that because I never thought about doing that for supports. So I might look into that a little bit more. Same material.
We all tend to print warm, but supports are great for printing very cool.
That's a really good point.
So there's no overhangs on supports. Duh, that's how it works.
Yeah.
So you can literally print PLA at 185 on supports, and then go back and do your 205, 210 for your rest of your print.
That's a really good point.
There you go.
I'd like to get a quick intro here. We have Joe Mike joined us.
Yeah. I'm just watching.
I know you are. Who you are, what you do, where you find you.
Okay. I'm Joe Mike, and I have a YouTube channel. That is my name. I have a Twitter account, Mojike. I do 3D printing. I'm mainly just absorbing the wealth of information that is in this stream tonight. Cosplay is something that I've always been interested in, but never really had. I can't say I never did it because I did dress up as a Jedi to go see The Phantom Menace when it first came out in theaters. So there you go. I've done it before. But just seeing some of the cool cosplay, especially how 3D printing has become an integral part of cosplay, especially seeing how that is evolving, like printing on fabric, like that kind of stuff. That stuff like interests me to no end. I just have not had an opportunity to do it yet. So I'm here to learn. I'm here to kind of talk. And other than that, I'm just a dude. So.
Do you have a pulse?
Hey, I do have a pulse.
Yay! How's that working?
It's a really killer machine, actually. Absolutely. That's the XE, so it's pimped out to the max. And
hey, I just wanted to quickly state something that you and we look like we're functioning in the same room. Everything when you're shooting videos is all an optical illusion because there is just like stuff everywhere.
Yeah. Oh no! So the camera angle, I shoot from going this way towards my nice wall of pretties. Yeah. But yeah, that pile over in the corner is but a subsection of that is the floor, and I don't even show that side of the studio anymore.
I closed my door and I'm like, don't, honey, please do not open up that door. Yeah. I don't want to hear an earful of.
My mother-in-law constantly threatens to come down here and clean this when she's in town, and I'm like, you don't want to go down there.
Yeah, I don't want anybody cleaning it either.
I'm trying to save you. It's not that I'm embarrassed. I'm just trying to save you. I don't know what's underneath half of this.
I've also had that threat against me as well. That my wife's like, I'm gonna hire somebody to clean that area up. I was like, that is not a threat. That's like
that's putting someone's life at risk.
Yeah. Feel free to have them come and organize everything for me.
And sign a waiver.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Well, Gus, my cat, has forced me to do some organization. I spent the hour before going on air on my hands and knees trying to find my cover for the lab microphone here. But yeah, you get stuff everywhere. And then I have this very poor PLA here. It was a damaged batch, but it's great for printing junk. But you're sitting here, even if it's not printing, every once in a while, parts of it are so brittle, you just get a twang, and a piece of filament goes flying through the air and lands somewhere. And you get a mess, and you're trying to find something small in all this junk.
Yeah, I can't let my dog down here because she eats any PLA that's on the floor.
Darrell, how about you with your stuff? What's you don't have to show us, but
oh no, you do. No,
because I know my room is a mess right now.
This room is pretty clean. This is for the most part, but I dare not show you the garage where I work at. That my wife went down there the other day and she was just like, "Yeah, I'm not coming back down here again."
I did shot an overhead video of Chuck's toolkit for the Filament Friday toolkit, and before starting recording that video, I just stuck the camera up here, looked at the viewfinder, and went like this, and just spread everything out on the desk. So, Clayton, what do you continuing with the question John asked about material types? You primarily print PLA, right?
Almost exclusively, yeah. I actually have some TPU that I've been meaning to try, and PETG that I have yet to experiment with. Yeah, I've got a few different roles that I keep saying I'm going to play around with, especially the flexible stuff. There has been more than a few props that I've printed in PLA that I've very quickly realized if I was able to print this in a flexible filament, it would have worked a lot better, because it's like I can't get up and grab it here, but like Captain America's helmet, it needs to be really snug to your head, and there you go. Yeah, if it's not flexible, it's either it's going to be too large, and if it's too small, I can't get it on my friggin' head. Yeah, see, so it's like that.
It's big, but like it just barely gets.
Yeah, you can barely get it on and on. And I was like, Matt, I want this to be
for the rest of the stream.
I was like, I want this to be like on my face, really snug, and that's why I was looking at the flexible stuff, and I just haven't gotten around to printing with it. I buy stuff and then I never get around to using it. I'm horrible with that type of things. I get stuck in a groove and I'm like, all right, I like this filament, I like this. I've got this setting down. I know what I'm doing with this, and go. And I'm like, I don't want to spend a day futzing around messing with settings and test prints to try and get something down before running a 5-day long print, just for it to not come out quite right.
Find your go-to and you kind of stick to it after you've printed with it like over 100 hours, and you're like, why am I going to change after this?
Yeah. I see a lot of test prints right there. There you go.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff here. I've been modeling part cooling for my CR10 modifications. So those are all test models. There's a lot of benches and other tests that come along with prototyping it.
What filament are you using, Merton?
This is the IC3D PLA, and this is ColorFab. Test prints are ColorFab PLA.
Really? So you haven't, for a second that looked like a composite PLA, like a carbon fiber PETG almost.
No, it's just a black PLA from IC3D. It's really nice. Prints really nice.
Huh. It's a lot more matte than I would expect from regular PLA, but it looks nice, yeah.
Yeah, it's really like for this part, this was at the top, and this one had less cooling time. So this one is shiny, and this part is more matte. So
the matte section of that looks really nice.
Yeah, so it's really dependent on print temperature if it gets matte or shiny.
So when I printed the Dr. Doom mask, I had an Earth on display. I never really finished it. I put on probably 10 layers of automotive filler primer on it. I haven't sanded it down yet. But when I glued it together, I had a layer shift. Like, not a layer shift. When I glued it down with CA, there was a shift. So it sounds like I got a lot of sanding to do.
More heavy duty sanding, or get a Dremel and just.
Oh yeah, okay. I didn't think about using a Dremel.
No.
Clayton's trick works really well too. Wood filler.
Oh yeah, that works good. I have tricks. Let me know what those are, because I have a lot of unfinished projects here.
The K2 head I printed. So this is printed in 2 halves, right? The model I used, this half, I didn't realize it when I scaled everything. I scaled it all by 900%, and this half is the right size. This half is a half an inch smaller. That's a half an inch of wood fill on there.
Wow.
Do that thing over, and in person you really can't.
Yeah, you can't. I was gonna say, when you're moving it around there, you can't really tell at all. Yeah, that's awesome.
Back, there's a little bit of a seam there that I didn't fill over very well.
No. You can't, like, on camera at least, you can't tell. I mean, it's one of these models that I see you've already got it all dented and all that. So it doesn't have to be perfect.
Exactly.
Great.
That's the cool thing about weathering. You hide all your mistakes.
Exactly. There's very few props that I want to be like them to be crystal clean. I want them to be weathered and worn and battle damaged, and that's probably one of the main reasons right there.
So one of the tools that comes in quite handy. Micromart, which is a hobby tool supplier, has their own line of power tools like the Dremels. This one's a sander. It's a vibrating sander, and it beats the Dremel for getting in. You can put on square edges, triangle edges, and it's perfect for sanding down small objects. So you just glue a piece of sandpaper to the end, and by the time the glue wears off, the sandpaper is probably no good anyway, so you just glue on the next one. Quite handy
for keeping the wife happy.
Yeah, let's talk about that. So what type of tools do you guys use for finishing? Like Darrell and Jessy, Chris? Like sandpaper, obviously, but what are the tips and tricks you can share with
these hands right here? Yeah, I primarily use I use that living hell out of my Dremel. I've got a ton of different attachments that I'm using on that thing. That sandpaper, wood filler, XTC. That's about it on my end of things. I actually have a belt sander that I got. Oh my gosh, did I get that for Christmas last year? And it's still in the box. I have not set it up. My wife is going to kill me if she knew that she got that for me and I didn't set it up. That I've been meaning to set up just specifically for like swords or anything that's really flat that I want to get a really nice flat surface to. Because that for me right now is probably the hardest thing. Anything curved, I feel like I've got a pretty good handle on, but anything flat, like it's wide or long and completely flat, I have a really hard time getting it to where I want it, basically. So I'm hoping. Yeah.
How about you, Darrell?
Pretty much the same XTC 3D, which I've kind of scaled back and using. Ton of sandpaper, Dremel, the drill. For filling in seam lines, I use epoxy putty with epoxy sculpt. Lately in my helmets, I've been using epoxy coat from Smooth On to kind of coat the inside of the helmets to give it strength. What else?
You've been mold making a bunch lately, or not? Yeah, a bunch, but I just saw it. I'm like, a bunch. I saw that one video you did, and I'm like, damn it, I need to start doing that as well.
I have like stacks of molds that nobody has seen yet because like it's just practicing. So I'm trying to branch out a little bit more, taking the 3D prints to another level and trying to expand my skill set outside.
Hey man, don't you don't start doing any like complicated matrix molds on me, okay? Stick to like the one piece or a 2-piece molds. Don't jump on the matrix mold yet, okay? Wait for me. I'm still working on getting like just a one.
So Darrell and Clayton, have either of you guys and David, are any of you guys published like for the work that you've created, like beyond YouTube? I mean, published like in print or?
Oh yeah, all the time. I'm at least once a week. No. Maybe Darrell, you probably are mentioned somewhere. You've got some ridiculously awesome stuff that you've designed and printed and put out there.
Not recently. I've always, like, anytime my YouTube number, like the emails start coming in, I go back to my wife. I'm like, somebody said something somewhere. I just don't know where it's at. And then it always comes up on Twitter. Like somebody tags me and is like, oh, I heard you on this. All right. So the last thing that happened, like emails were coming in and saying I got subscribers. And I was like, I was trying all day to figure out like what it was. And Bob Claggett had made mention of me on his podcast.
Oh,
and
nice.
So it's that kind of stuff that I get routinely, but nothing like major.
Let me take a sidestep here. We have Patrick who joined us. Can you tell us who you are, what you do, where you're from, how to find you?
Should be able to find me. Can you hear me pretty well?
Yeah.
Yeah, you sound good.
That's exactly why there hasn't been that many videos lately, is me trying to hook in different cameras and different audio and it all going downhill. But Nolan Create, doing same thing, a lot of the same stuff as everybody else. 3D wise, I'm on Twitter, Instagram, everything everywhere else is the same name, Nolan Create, all no space. The claim is probably what you can see in this corner. It's just that big printer, and it's moving. There's just not a lot of content to put a video together, so I haven't been putting anything out. And then you can hear the bastardized robo back there. It's been extended a little bit tall, but it's keeping the business side of things going. So that's what's taken up most of everything lately, is I just keep getting customer emails. Even with hubs going away, I get a lot of stuff off my website, and it's local to people in town. So local customers and just print. We've done some custom modeling for them, individual pieces, household stuff. Doesn't matter. That's fun. I'm glad to finally join, though. I'm normally lurking or sitting in the chat as many Fridays as I can. So
glad you could finally get on, Patrick.
Yeah, it's nice to have you. So I was in several of Patrick's live streams where he was building the beast, and I remember one where he was laying on the floor and soldering a bunch of wires together. And yeah, I'm glad to see that you got the printer built and it's making motion, right?
yeah, it's actually as far as the bed and everything, bed's raising, the frames put together. I've got it out on Instagram because I've redone the bed frame a couple of different times, and then I'm not engineering it, I'm not overthinking it, I'm not even concentrating. I'm just like, I think I'm going to do it like this, and then I do it all and it doesn't work, or I did it wrong, or I break it. But it's still, for me, it's like 2.5 years. I think a really dedicated follower mentioned to me lately. But yeah, bed's going all the way up, all the way down, full, almost 40 inches from where the frame is on the NEMA 23s up to where its stopping point is. So it's going to happen. It's just a bit more effort. So once we've got the bed just a little bit further, once I do one more thing that I thought of in bed about 2 nights ago to the bed, then we'll start working on the motion up on top. But it's moving. We'll get back to streaming too, because we started doing more craft stuff. We picked up an X card from a friend. So we've been doing signs and small CNC. So there's one hell of a to-do list.
That's great news.
I don't have enough time left in life for it, but we're going to keep chipping at it.
All right, Dave stepped away, it looks like. So, oh, he's right there. Okay, so Dave, tell us a little bit about your finishing practices and what's your tools that you are a fan of.
I'm a little different than the other guys. I'm still a Bondo guy, but I use engine for most of my body work because it just sands so well. It can get so hot. And then I've been doing most of my sanding just with a standard palm sander, treating it pretty much like body work, car body work, and that's been working fairly well. for a lot of my stuff. And then just 2-in-1 primer etcher and keep going. So, but that's been my number one winner. I still have not got into the XTC stuff.
I've got the XTC. I've had problems with curing on it. Like, I know everybody says about spread it out thin because in a
Man, you are not mixing your ratios. It's 2-to-1 A to B.
Yeah, I'm sure
Tell 'em.
is that I'm off my ratio.
By the way, I put out a video like as soon as that came out. I got my hand. I was like, I gotta do this. I'm gonna do it. And I did a video on it, and I was like, globbing it on. I was like, I'm doing it. It's working. I had no idea what I'm doing. And yeah. It's like at this point, I just eyeball it. I'm like, all right, I got a little Dixie cup here that I can see through. I was like, that's 2. This is the half of that. Mix them together. All right, I've got about 5 minutes before this thing cures. Yeah, but if you don't get it right, it gets really tacky forever.
That's the problem I had. Every time I've tried to use it, it got tacky. What I actually started using is, this is off the shelf at like Lowe's and Home Depot. It's bar top glaze, epoxy glaze.
Nice.
Self-leveling like XTC is, 1-to-1 mix. The only thing is, it does cure with kind of like a yellow tint to it.
Okay.
But if you're painting it,
it doesn't matter.
Right.
What about the fume side of it? Is it like something that you could use indoors, or is it going to stink up your whole space?
It's got a little bit of a smell to it, but it honestly goes away within about 10 minutes, and it's not like chase you out of the room.
Yeah. Okay.
Like I need to find somewhere else to store them because they're laying on their side in my desk drawer here.
Yeah.
And one bottle apparently is leaking, as I just found out.
Yeah, Dave. The one reason why I used to use Bondo a lot, and that, and what was it, like fiberglass and resin and everything. The problem was I had to use it in my garage with the door open, respirator on, and then even then, it's like my wife would be like, "What the hell are you doing? The whole house smells like fumes. We got kids in the house. How are you?"
No, I've never.
I can leave the part outside for a week before I can bring it inside.
I bought a gallon of Bondo because Bondo's cheap. It's like the cheapest solution to finish.
It's awesome. Especially if you have a Harbor Freight buy, it's like, oh, I got a 20% off coupon off this huge drum of Bondo that'll last me like 2 years.
A gallon. I used it on one project and I've never opened it again. The smell of it.
I found the putty works better than the standard Bondo. The putty, in the tube pre-mix type of stuff, works way better than the Bondo.
Oh yeah.
I did just get some of that. I haven't gotten to use it yet.
So that's been very helpful and very filling.
Yeah.
John, you had said about you printed a mask or a helmet, glued it
Dr. Doom, and I glued it. Yeah, it was 2 pieces printing, because I got the Prusa, and I could only print it like.
That is CA glue deactivator.
The hell's that?
It's like
it unglues the glue.
Yep, it's actually meant for when you glue your fingers together to unglue yourself. Like specifically on the back, probably can't read that.
Yeah.
It gives you specific directions on how to unglue your fingers, but it'll deactivate the super glue and break the bond.
Just acetone, right?
I was gonna say acetone, yeah.
I don't think it's acetone because it's ABS safe.
Oh.
I don't know. I haven't actually opened this pack yet. Let me check.
Smell it. Drink a little bit of it. Let us know.
I fall out of the chair.
How about you, Chris? So you've been finishing like some mad pieces. What tools do you use for finishing?
On the Daft Punk helmet.
Not acetone.
On the Daft Punk helmet, I did start to use. I did use Ecstasy 3D on that. It was challenging. That's why it's got a glitter spray paint cover on it or coating on it rather than a chrome finish. Had to hide some sins, so I went with the textured paint. I just started using Bondo currently with the Big Moai. I used that to fill some bigger gaps I had in putting those 12 pieces together. This this 3D gloop. I'm liking this stuff a lot for putting parts together.
Nice.
It gives you a little bit more time. Well, maybe approximately the same time as like 5-minute epoxy for setup. So you gotta hold your part together for a good couple minutes before you let it go. But it's chemical bond or chemical welding. It's not gluing. It's making two pieces literally one. And I haven't had anything that I've put together with this yet being an issue. The Gears of War Lancer I have in the back, I epoxied all those, or used CA to do the butt connections, and then I used epoxy to seal those joints from the inside. But after I went ahead and bought another bottle of the goop or the gloop, I went ahead and went over all the exterior edges, all the exterior seams, and welded them together. And seems to work great. They say you can use it for smoothing, for strengthening parts as well. I haven't tested it for that, but I like the stuff. I wish it was a little cheaper, but I like it. It works great.
Is it the same for smoothing and gluing together? Same material?
Right now, they're advertising it as the same material, but I know talking to one of the guys at Earth, he said that there is another product they have specifically for smoothing.
Didn't they just put that out?
It's the aerosol version.
Yeah.
I think that's what they're referring. They're going to put the stuff in a spray can, and I think the stuff in the spray can is going to be more meant as that smoothing agent because you'll be able to get that nice uniform coating.
Yeah. This has a lot of the same chemicals in it as 3D glue, but it's liquid. I mean, this stuff's like water.
That's the stuff Dave talked about, right?
Yeah, Dave has talked about this, and Matt Gordon from Printed Solid. They both showed me this at one of the meetups. And man, this stuff will make a joint with PLA. It'll actually melt the PLA together, which 3D glue does as well. They use quite a few of the same chemicals.
And it's surprising how cheap that is.
What's that? The 3D gloop or this? Because this
stuff. For.
I don't know. The bottle I got wasn't that cheap. Let me know.
I was gonna say, so how much are we talking here? Because the gloop is, it's not, it's expensive, but it's not horribly expensive. But
it's usually about $15, $17 that you were holding up there.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
And can you pick it up at like Home Depot or Lowe's?
Big Master Car.
What's that?
Big Master Car. Big Master.
Yeah.
Master Car, Amazon. McMaster's probably the better place to get it, though.
Yeah.
They'll get it to you next day, no problem.
Dave knows where to get all the good chemicals cheap.
Chris, you got experience with it. Shane from Prusa Research wants to know in the chat how the fumes are on 3D glue.
It's not so bad actually. When you first open it up, it hits you, but I lose. It did. I was surprised. I thought it was going to be like when I opened it up, I was like, "Whoa, this is going to get bad. I'm going to get yelled at in about 25 minutes." It never happened. So yeah, you don't want to go nutso with it in the house, but my workspace it's the laundry room, which is the furnace room. So anything that smells in that room gets broadcast through the whole house, just because the HVAC unit's right there and it just sucks it in. So it's really not that bad and it goes away quickly. So
it's pretty strong. It's pretty strong.
Yeah, but it's there at first. If you open that up and let it sit open for a minute and close it, you're not going to smell the smell again. It goes away pretty quick.
Was he just huffing that?
Yeah, he was. Except it wasn't in a bag.
He was taking after me with the CA deactivator. Except that stuff didn't have a strong smell.
I'm excited to try this stuff out, though.
I want to get a bottle. And
actually, we'll make a video of it, right?
Yeah.
One of the upcoming streams, the guys from 3D Gloop will actually be on Friday night stream on the process of
That'd be cool.
getting that.
It was
set
fun
up.
at Earth. They had that dog bone thing that you were like, grab the other end and pull. And I'm like, I don't know about this. This seems like a really bad idea.
Did you see they finally break that thing?
What's that?
They finally managed to break that.
Did they?
dog puller thing. I think they hooked it between two vehicles and pulled against it.
Oh my god!
It didn't break on the seam though. It broke elsewhere in the part. It didn't break where
really?
the two parts are glued together.
Oh wow!
That's
Yeah.
impressive.
Yeah.
They really need to come up with a different model.
I've
All right, see you, Joe.
So I'll see you guys later, guys.
Thanks for joining in.
Peace, Joe.
Yeah, see you. Yeah,
All right,
Joel
so
did a. Yeah, sorry. Joel